With Season 4 just right around the corner, there's one thing I want to do before it comes out. I want to go over the animatic videos from the SDCC that came out a while back. Specifically, I want to go over each one and try to determine what kind of path the episode that it's depicting might take. Then, once the episode themselves are actually out, I'll revisit each of them to see how close these assumptions were to the actual episode in question. It will be interesting to see how close I can actually get. Plus, it gives me another reason to watch more Pony. I should really say right now that there is going to be spoilers for Season 4 ahead. If you have been trying to avoid them like the plague, you should just stop this video right here. The first of our 4 clips is a Cutie Mark Crusader episode, and it looks to be one of the better ones.
Your act is quite impressive! Wait, what? Thanks? Oh, but of course, as a matter of fact, we think you're very brave. Brave? Why? Isn't it obvious? It is to us. In fact, it's obvious to every pony. You're showing all 3 types of Ponyville ponies, yet you have a Pegasus pony who can't even fly! What determination is that to do with anything? I'd say not being able to fly has everything to do with everything, doesn't it? I mean, a Pegasus pony at your age? You should have been flying long ago. So what if my wings can't get me off the ground? Your career as a flag carrier isn't getting off the ground either. Miss Harshmoney will never pick a Pegasus pony who can't fly to represent Ponyville in front of all of Equestria. Miss Harshmoney never said anything about that. I would have thought that was obvious. Well, have fun practicing anyway. Even if your routine will never, how shall I say, take off.
Okay, right off the bat, we have the basic outline of what I think could be one of the most adult-themed episodes we have ever seen in the show. Specifically, having a young child dealing with some form of disability. Fans have long speculated that Scootaloo can't actually fly. This episode already seems to be implying that the fans were correct. While we can't 100% confirm that until the actual episode comes out, I think it would be a nice twist to her character within the show proper. This episode is also a great follow-up to Sleepless in Ponyville, the last Scootaloo episode. Scootaloo might have gotten Rainbow Dash as an impromptu older sister in the last episode, but this episode might force her to come to terms more with her condition. Specifically how she might not ever be able to fly and thus will be unable to share the skies with the pony she idolizes most. I am most interested to see how Dash fit in with this whole ordeal. The only other thing I most want to see out of this episode is another answer to a long-standing question about Scootaloo, specifically her parents. Now, many fans have also speculated that not only is Scootaloo flightless, but she's also an orphan. However, thanks to the kid-friendly nature of the show, I doubt that particular fan theory will come to fruition. Besides, I always love seeing the families of the characters we have grown to love in the past 3 seasons show up in the show proper. The last interesting point that this particular animatic brings up is another mention of the Equestria games. Thanks to 2 episodes dedicated to the concept, or at least mentioning the concept in the last season, and then this season mentioning it again, I believe that this will probably have something to do with the season finale. The only thing I am really looking forward to in regards to a possibility of the Equestria games being a season finale is simply more world building, much in the same way as the Hearthwarming Eve pageant did. Other than that, I don't really expect much from that, especially considering how weak the last episode. Our next clip is definitely one of the more unique of the Season 4 animatics.
Is this Metropolis?
Some pony want to tell me what the hay is going on?
Holy new personas, ponies! Radiance! Mistress Marvelous! Shadow Ranger! You're the Power Ponies!
With the recent revelation that Discord will indeed be coming back, I really hope that this is one of his episodes. After all, transporting Spike and the main six into a comic book seems like something he might do. I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to do so after an offhand comment from Spike, possibly about how the young dragon wants to be a big, powerful hero, probably to impress Rarity, if nothing else. So Discord could decide to give Spike a taste of his own medicine by showing him exactly what it would be like to be an actual superhero. Plus, I really hope that this is not only a Discord episode, but a good Spike episode. The poor little dragon hasn't exactly gotten the best deal out of recent episodes in the past season. He first didn't get nearly enough recognition for his aid in the Crystal Empire. He was acting pretty out of character when he swore his service to Applejack. And lastly, the only decent episode he had was marred by the fact that the pets stole the show, and it was tied to one of the worst episodes of Season 3. I really hope that this trend will change a bit in Season 4 and Spike will become less of a butt monkey. The only other thing I want from this episode is pretty much what I want from every episode of the show, and that simply is world building. It would be pretty interesting to see what Equestria considers a superhero, especially considering that their world is full of magic. They are ruled by 2 immortal demigods, and they have a weapon capable of altering reality that is wielded by 6 young adults. After all, you can learn quite a bit about a country's culture by watching what they consider to be entertainment. Well, clip number 3 is technically the 4th animatic in the original video. I'm putting it here because the 3rd one is my personal favorite.
Where am I? Not another step. Princess Luna! I don't understand. Where are we? Why did you and Celestia disappear? Did you really expect me to sit idly by while they all basked in your precious light? Precious light?
There can only be one princess in Equestria, and that princess will be me!
Okay, we have had a lot of spoilers thanks to the hub regarding this episode. We know by this point that it's the season opener, as it was mentioned by release synopsis that Celestia and Luna have disappeared, and this is one of the first things Twilight mentions in the animatic. The question now becomes, as a lot of questions this episode raises, is why? Is it another test by the princesses? I doubt it in this case. While they definitely have been doing a lot more tests and challenges for Twilight, especially with the last season, outright disappearing doesn't seem quite like something they would do. Most likely the villain of this episode is to blame, whoever or whatever that may be. I do, however, think it might have something to do with Celestia and Luna's past connection to the elements of harmony. After all, this two-parter seems to be going to focus more on these mysterious artifacts that we haven't really seen much focus on since the first episode of the series. Which brings me to my next point. The fact that this episode might actually show us the origins of the elements of harmony themselves. We haven't learned much at this point and only teased with a magical looking tree. My personal theory is that the elements were at least partially part of this tree. I believe that Celestia and Luna originally received the elements from, or took them from, this tree in order to combat Discord. After that happening, while the sisters were able to defeat Discord, it caused the tree to significantly weaken. This could have caused its magic to spiral out of control or let an external force corrupt it in such a way that it creates the Everfree Forest. Speaking of said forest, it seems like the Everfree Forest itself is going to be the villain of this episode. This is all thanks to a recently released trailer that outright states that the Everfree Forest is actually attacking. This is actually a pretty interesting plot point because we actually have seen evidence that the Everfree Forest is growing. This was shown right in the second episode of the entire series, wherein the main six go to the ruined castle within the Everfree Forest. I really don't think the Celestial Sisters had left the elements of harmony in an old castle right in the middle of a forest that's so freaking dangerous. Instead, after the battle with Nightmare Moon, Celestia abandoned that castle and moved into Canterlot, and the Everfree Forest simply grew over it. However, this time, instead of mere passively growing, the Everfree Forest is actually out for blood. Now, whether something is controlling the forest, causing its change in behavior, or it's the actual forest itself has become sentient and hostile, has yet to be determined. The very last point I need to bring up for this episode is another past origin story. Specifically, this episode also seems to be touching on the origins of Nightmare Moon herself. Especially considering that this very animatic shows Twilight seemingly talking to Luna and her transforming into Nightmare Moon. I do not believe that this is current Luna, instead past Luna, as some of Luna's dialogue doesn't seem to be directed at Twilight herself. I believe that this is yet another form of time travel to be seen within the show. This presentation comes closer to when Discord time traveled than when Twilight did it. Instead of actually being physically present in the past, it looks like Twilight's seeing a sort of recording of past events. Now, it will be interesting to see how closely this Season 4 opener ties in with the comic books, as the very second arc within the comic book series details what corrupted Luna into Nightmare Moon. I have heard that the comics are supposed to be canon, so it'll be interesting to see how canon they actually end up being. With that out of the way, it is now time for my favorite animatic of the whole set.
Come on, Apples! Y'all know this one! We travel the road of generations, joined by a common bond. We sing our song across the Pony Nation, from Equestria and beyond. We're apples forever, apples together. We're family, but so much more. No matter what comes, we will face the weather. We're apples to the core. There's no place that I'd rather be than traveling with my family. Friends all around, come to join and see as we sing out across the land. We're apples forever, apples together. We're family, but so much more. No matter what comes, we will face the weather. We're apples to the core. We're peas in the cornfield and Ashleys. Every cliche you can throw at me. We're here for each other, girls and men. You're always welcome with your apple candy. You're more fun than the color rainbow or balloons flying over your favorite drink. The love I feel here is when I sing as we party across this land. We're apples forever, apples together. We're family, but so much more. No matter what comes, we will face the weather. We're apples to the core.
Oh, Buck, yes! I can't tell you how happy I was when I first heard this song. I listened to it over and over again until I got sick of it. Then I kept listening to it. If Daniel Ingram made songs of this quality for all of Season 4, then I don't care nearly as much how the rest of the season is. I will more than happily watch it for the songs, which for me is a really big deal. I have almost never liked any of the songs from the show upon first hearing. It usually takes me about 1 or 2 repeats of the song before I actually get used to it. This one, however, is already my favorite song of the season. With the gushing out of the way, we can actually get to what is happening in this scene. First off, we have the Apple family pulling a cart that is filled to the brim with stuff. Are they moving somewhere? Possibly going to visit another family member? Maybe they're just delivering some goods to a nearby town. That, however, is not the most interesting part of that scene. No, the most interesting part is that Pinkie Pie is traveling with them. Now, the whole point of the song and the scene in general is talking about the Apple family. Specifically how the Apple family always sticks out for one another and we're there for you no matter what. However, this song seems to be implying that Pinkie Pie is a member of the Apple family. I know Applejack has said in the past that she considers each of her friends a member of her family. However, it seems like Pinkie Pie is becoming a much bigger part of the family than just simple friendship. One of the spoilers we have gotten for Season 4 is that we'll actually be able to see one of Pinkie Pie's sisters in the actual show. I personally think that this scene has something to do with that. Specifically, I think Pinkie Pie might be adopted. And this episode could very well be dealing with her finding out she's not related to her original parents at all, but is in fact closer related to the Apple family. Not only does this give a better setting for the song, but it also helps better explain why Pinkie Pie is traveling with the Apple family and not the rest of Applejack's friends. I don't believe I am too close to the mark on this theory, however, and I'll just have to wait till the actual episode airs to see if I'm close or not. So these are my predictions for Season 4. I have high hopes for this season, and I really hope that it ends up being much better than Season 3. With what little previews and trailers we have seen so far, it's probably going to be one of the best seasons we've had yet. I eagerly await the start of this new season to see where our favorite pony characters end up.